Hey everyone, welcome back to another video in the college algebra playlist. I want to dive into some examples. All right, in the first example, I have the equation x minus 5 equals negative 12. Okay, so you'll recall from the last video that we talked about two properties that we can use in algebra. Okay, the additive property and the multiplicative property. All right, to solve this equation, I want you to take a moment to think about which property I need to use to solve the equation. Okay, to solve the equation, we need to isolate the variable x. Okay, typically we want to isolate the variable on the left-hand side of the equation. Okay, so the best way for me to isolate x here would be to add something to both sides. Okay, so we definitely want to use the additive property to solve this equation. All right, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. All right, and that gives us x equals negative 7. So the solution to this equation is x equals negative 7. All right, in the second example, I have an equation x plus 9 equals 4. Okay, once again, we want to use one of those properties. Okay, and once again, it's going to be the additive property. To isolate x, I want to use the additive property. I want to add something to both sides. All right, and what I want to add to both sides is actually negative 9. Okay, so this looks pretty confusing right now. All right, but there's a reason that I'm presenting it this way. Okay, when I add negative 9 to both sides of the equation, that is the same thing as subtracting 9 from both sides. Okay, now what I just said there, I believe that has some implications in a class called abstract algebra. Okay, I've never taken that class. It's a little too pure for my taste. All right, but I have friends who enjoy abstract algebra. Okay, so if you're interested in taking that class, I highly recommend it, right? Just try it out and see what you think, all right, and let me know in the comments. All right, so I'm subtracting 9 from both sides of the equation here to isolate x. All right, so x in this example equals negative 5. All right, so my solution is negative 5. All right, here I have the equation x over 6 equals 5. All right, to isolate x here, once again, I want you to stop for a moment and ask yourself, what should I do to isolate x on the left-hand side of the equation? All right, we should use the multiplicative property of equality to multiply both sides of the equation by something, all right, to make this 6 go away. All right, so I want to multiply both sides by 6, and the 6's cancel on the left-hand side, which leaves us with x equals 30. So the solution is x equals 30. All right, one more example. All right, I have here the equation 4x equals 24. Okay, which property do we want to use? We definitely want to use the multiplicative property again. Okay, but this time we should multiply both sides by a fraction. Okay, so what I have here, right, what this looks like we're dividing both sides of the equation by 4. Okay, but doing that is the same thing as multiplying both sides of the equation by the fraction 1/4. Okay, so when we multiply both sides of the equation by 1/4, the 4's cancel on the left-hand side. All right, and that leaves us with x equals 6. All right, so the solution to this equation is x equals 6. All right, let me know if you have questions in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe.